Crouch. Bind. Set.
Joe presents the House of Rugby, together with Guinness.
Hello, Dream Team. Welcome to the latest edition of House of Rugby, brought to you by Joe, together with our very good friends at Guinness. My name is Alex Payne, and normally at this point I introduce our good friend James Haskell, but I'm afraid he's in for a bit of running repairs this week. You won't be in the slightest bit surprised to know, however, that he sent us a video as he prepares to go under the knife. Have a look at this.
So, very sadly, I am not available for tonight's House of Rugby. I'm wearing a fetching medical gown, as I unfortunately have to have another minor procedure on my ankle. So I am not able to do the show. I probably might have been able to turn up and do the show, but I've been off my tits, and I don't think it's a good idea, as I already skate very close to win with what I say. I don't think a drugged up James Haskell under the influence of major anaesthetics is a good idea, but we should have done a poll and seen whether it was a plan. So you're in good, capable hands. Obviously, Alex, the man controlling things. You've got the Royal Highness, Sir Tins of Tindall back in the mix. Can't wait for all the Irish to give him some heat, because he has literally put his foot in it. And then you've got obviously Andrew Trimble, the James Haskell equivalent in Ireland, more sensible, slightly less chat and slightly less better looking. Have an amazing show, and I'll catch you all next week.
Less better looking.
Less better looking. Yeah. Would you like an immediate response?
No, I was actually kinder than I was expecting.
Good.
Yeah.
It's very nice to have you with you, Andrew. Andrew, the man who puts the Andrew into Baz and Andrew's House of Rugby,
That's
our
right.
sister show over in Ireland.
That's right.
How was that yesterday?
It was good, yeah. But
Barry's back from his travels.
He is, yeah, and he's done a lot of thinking. Actually, he's he came out with something fairly long-winded and creative.
It's gone quite profound since he's been down in Australia.
Yeah.
It's a long flight.
It is a long flight. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
What have you learnt this week? You've been in Dubai. I had a lot of questions last week saying, did you duck out and run away from your comments, particularly given that then Ireland went and beat the All Blacks, but you were actually busy doing...
You doubled down.
I was in Dubai, just trying to get a freebie holiday, basically.
Well done, you. Escaping, and rightly so.
Escaping.
Quite clear that Haskell's got a bit of FOMO this week. It didn't take him long to send the video as soon as he suggested it to us.
And we said that was recorded.
Pre-recorded. Desperate just to make sure everyone knows that he's not been sacked yet. And we've got a little photograph for our listeners.
That was actually his living room. He's not actually.
He's just gone into the dressing up box, hasn't he? He's got a whole rota of excuses to pull out. We've got a little photo of him for now. I just sort of feel, given we've struck up a bit of a bromance over the last few weeks in Dublin, we'll just fold that down. He's not terribly happy about my trips to Dublin. He'll be very unhappy that you're standing in for him this week as well. But
Baz isn't happy with me either.
Is he not?
No.
Okay. It sort of feels like a little bit on the side, but we'll keep it going. We'll keep it quiet for now.
That's why it's so exciting.
Exactly. Just quickly on Haas, do we have any idea what he's like as a patient? I mean, we'll hope obviously that they might pop a brain in and upgrade the chat as well as the ankle.
Do a few other things. Maybe sellotape some proper hands on him or something.
Be quite useful.
Yeah.
Get his career back together. Just very quickly on the Ireland stuff. Are you aware how big a story you've become on the other side of the Irish Sea?
No.
Are you interested in how big a story you've become?
Do you care?
No.
Do you want to fill us in, Andrew, just on... Because actually you've had a bit to say about the comments that he's made.
Yeah, I think, to be fair, I think we all got carried away. Because there were four of us, and we were like winding each other up.
I need to go listen to this, don't I?
Oh, I was actually wondering afterwards.
Yeah.
I did think we got.
If I'd have got told this, I didn't know until today.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not sure you did terribly care.
So you've never listened to our podcast?
I've listened to one, but not that. I haven't listened to the one where you've talked about us.
Good. This is going well. I'm glad we're building a bromance here very quickly.
I don't quite get it. Literally, I had so many "how's them apples" on the Saturday that they beat New Zealand. As in, okay.
You had no idea where it was coming from.
Yeah, no, but
do you want to reiterate the point that you were trying to make? Because it does feel a little bit like you've made a point and everyone has ignored what you actually said and just read the headline.
So if you flash back to the bits that I did say, I said they've got the best pack in world rugby at the moment.
Yeah.
I said they are exceptional at winning games. They've won 24 games out of 27.
Yeah.
I just want to see Stockdale. That's try scored against New Zealand.
Yeah.
I would like to see him having the ball a little bit more, and the rest of their backline having the ball, and not to feel so controlled. The reason why I said it was because obviously in 2015 played very similar rugby, not as well as what they're playing at the moment, but then they got a few key injuries, and then they lost to Argentina. I worried that if they play that way in a short format like World Cup, where you're having to do it, back it up week in, week out, you're not really getting an easy match, that if they got injuries, then they wouldn't be able to do it. So I'd just like a little bit more balance. But that it was not having a go at them in any way, shape, or form. They're obviously the best team in the. I'll quite happily say bad things about England because some of their performances deserve it. Yeah. Whereas I'd just like to see that sort of all-rounded, a bit more a bit more energetic to watch rugby every now and again.
Is that going to appease the frenzy?
But I also said that I'm not saying that Joe Schmidt can't bring that in a year before the World Cup. That was all I was saying.
Saying it as he sees it.
I don't think
surely that has to be fair.
Yeah, I think whenever maybe an Irish audience hear that, they'll jump on it. So I think you were a victim of, and it was funny to listen to because you were saying, I mean, they have won loads of games and been brilliant and done this, that.
No one listens to the compliments.
Yeah. But yeah, exactly. And you did balance it, but it's everybody's like, who gives a crap about all that positive stuff? We're gonna hammer you on the on the stuff we want to. I think it's because it's just that typical Irish English thing. Yeah, and. Everybody just want again. It was worst case scenario. It was the perfect storm because the four of us were just winding each other up on the show. Now that doesn't account for all the people saying
you've done a very good job at winding everyone else up as well.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, well, I think that's probably more your Irish listeners listening to this. Than I would imagine. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I'm fair for it if they
water off a duck's back.
I'm not saying that they can't win the World Cup. I just want to see them play a little bit more expansive rugby.
And to be fair, you know what it takes to get to the top. So we'll pick up on that in a moment.
Never go there.
What?
I would never go there.
No, but you like it when others do. You like it when others do.
Anyway,
I've done nothing.
Exactly.
I've done nothing but talk about the time we beat the All Blacks in Chicago. And don't tell me you haven't been dining out on the World Cup win.
I actually didn't even remember it was 15 years ago without social
media. Did you go to the reunion?
I didn't get the invite.
Oh, sorry.
When was that? 10-year reunion?
No, there was one the other day. There was it was one of the sort of corporate dinners. I don't think it was a reunion as such, but it was sort of, I think you were probably either in Dubai or on a different holiday.
Yeah, possibly.
Sorry about that. I will just put you back on the mailing list. Listen, let's tell you what else we've got coming up on the show this week, because obviously it's been a huge week in Ireland, not just because of Mike's comments, but also because of the news that Joe Schmidt will be stepping down after the World Cup, apparently stepping away from the game, and we'll explore that with Andrew in a moment or two. We're going to have a look at Owen Farrell's tackle. Hopefully you know what I mean in that regard, but obviously the incident in the Australia game, again, a little bit more controversy around England's co-captain. We'll talk rucks. We'll also ask whether the gap between the Northern and Southern Hemisphere is closing, and certainly indications around this November that some of the Tier 2 nations are improving and improving fast. But we're going to start with another man who's been sort of creating a bit of social media tweet storm. I'm not looking at either of you in this instance. Sam Burgess, who has come out and said that England's early exit from the 2015 World Cup was the result of individual egos and selfish players. And I read the quotes: "Tournaments are not won by the coaching staff or one player. It takes a commitment from the full group. I guarantee you this, I was committed, but others had their own agendas. What cost us an early exit was individual egos and selfish players not following our leader, which essentially cost the coach and other great men their jobs." Discuss.
Who's the individual egos?
Well, there you go.
I wonder whether they pick up hats.
She's certainly back again
at this point. He certainly brings an ego of some sort, but I'm not quite sure that Sam Burgess is referring to James in this instance. He can have his reply next week.
I know. I did try and get hold of Sam Burgess today, but
no response as yet.
Responded.
It's probably about 2 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
I'd be impressed if he did respond. Are you surprised that he has stoked the fires quite so? I mean, he's poured petrol on them, and I think for most people, it sort of disappeared a little bit.
I don't. It was the context where did someone have a go at him?
So he feels, yes. I mean, what he said was, to preempt it, is that people have been giving him grief. I tell you exactly where it's come from. Is that because Farrell has now become Ireland head coach, everyone's saying in England, how do we let Farrell and Lancaster go? It's because of the 2015 World Cup, and the whole story has reignited off the back of that, and people have obviously been directing comments at Sam Burgess as a result of that storyline.
Well, in no way was it anything to do with Sam Burgess. I mean, whether he should have been in that squad or not, it's nothing to do with him. He didn't make that decision, and then when he played, I don't think he'd actually played that badly. I think you look at the Wales game, he had everyone under control, and then they've taken him off and they lose the game. Yeah. So I don't think it. Or anyway, it comes down to Sam. Would I have taken him as a centre? No, I wouldn't. I probably would have had him in the squad as a back row where he played for his club. Yeah, as just a bring off the bench and go wild. That
sort of leadership role.
Yeah. And everyone who said, and all the coaches, Catty and people that I spoke to said about him, he was that ultimate sort of team guy and pull people together. Why Farrell's been so good at coaching, if you read stuff that Best's been talking about, is how well he delivers to players and how he brings people together, and if he makes you want to defend. Yeah. And Sam had a lot of that about him as well when I've met him. Lovely lad. And I think he got the raw end of that deal. I think,
someone had to get the blame.
Yeah,
and then it was the English media or the English supporters decided, okay, it's these three.
They sort of fired it. I mean, Robshaw obviously took his fair bit of it as well.
Yeah, of course.
They just sort of savaged the squad. it's a very English thing to do.
What did Burgess do wrong? I mean, as you say, whenever he played, he was smashing boys in defence, hitting gain lines in attack, getting offloads. I mean, what more do you want from him?
Yeah, he couldn't do much. I mean, that's why I said I would have had him at 6 when they played in the Aviva, as it was then, the Aviva Premiership final.
Yeah,
when it was Bath versus
Sarries. Sarries, yes, you're right.
And he was just absolutely ending Billy Vanapola every time he got the ball. So I was like, that's why I'd take him in as a back row cover.
Yeah,
maybe he wouldn't be in your starting, but I think the problem was with it is Stuart's made a call on taking him, but then when you've built your squad around, you want people with experience, caps in this squad, and then suddenly you take 2 players and you drop Luther Burrell, who's got 36 caps and been playing really well for England, and suddenly he's not even in the squad.
Yeah,
I think some of the players were like, hang on, you sort of preached this to us and now you've changed it at the last minute.
Yeah,
to fit with someone who's not even playing in their position.
No.
So I think that's obviously it fell on Stuart's shoulders and he got the sack off the back of it. But I think we need to move on.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's and move on. We will. But I do want to. These individual egos and selfish players. Have you ever heard those stories coming out of that 2015 World Cup squad? Silence speaks volumes.
Pray tell.
No, not really out of that, but I could probably think of players. There's definitely one I could definitely think of who, from experiences when I was still playing, who was in there.
Really?
But
I'm going to ask you to name names, but you're not going to.
No,
okay, understood.
Because I might be wrong. It might not be.
True. How much of an issue is that? In terms of, you played with some pretty big individuals. I mean, I don't know whether egos are the right word, but you played with some pretty powerful figures. Alpha males, etc. Was that ever an issue amongst the 03 squad? I mean, I remember Clive saying that he didn't want sort of energy sappers and naysayers in the squad, and 1 or 2 left as a result of that.
Yeah.
But there were some very talented players with big egos that you played with, and I'd love to know how that was handled within that successful squad.
Yeah, but then you sort of leader who sort of drilled that in was John, who
doesn't have any.
Yeah, and you had in that age the older guys. If you were stepped out of line as a young one, they'd put you back into line. So you didn't really have that. Whereas now, I think you're not allowed to do what was done to young lads before when they joined the club. Beat them up or fill them in and training.
Did you have a bit of that in the early days?
Yeah, in the early days.
Did you?
Well, Jerry Guscott sort of made a thing that new kids, you wouldn't speak to them until they'd earned his sort of respect.
Is that right?
Yeah, so you had to sort of. But then at that time,
how did you earn it? How did you? Well, we played. Did you clean his boots and wash his car? We
played first versus seconds every Thursday night, so you could just try and beat the crap out of him, basically, or you could try and. That's how you got to impress them. Was
Is
just
that right?
Fill them in on a Thursday night before a
game.
So
it was nothing to do with talent.
It's old school, isn't it?
Yeah, it was proper old school.
I thought we kind of overlapped a little bit, but it sounds like you were playing.
That's 97.
Yeah, no, fair enough. But it sounds like Willie John McBride kind of.
Exactly, the 99 call. Did you ever bit of that in Ulster training?
What's that?
A bit of the 99 call.
Oh yes, yeah. Just hit the first person close to you.
JPR came from 45 yards away to flatten somebody. Apparently, Phil Bennett went slapped the back at
the ball boy.
Yeah, exactly. I love that story.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think generally rugby's not. You don't have time for that. Well, not when we were playing. I don't think you
put hairs on the chest.
No. In fact, it's almost you could argue there's a little bit of a need for a little bit more of that, but not to that extent. But I think it's nice to see young fellas coming through and feeling like they can be themselves. They can kind of express themselves, and they don't have to shy away. I was very shy whenever I came into the Ulster squad at the start. I didn't say a word to anyone for about 18 months.
Really?
Just because I just felt like I kind of needed to develop a little bit. But there's young fellas who I think it maybe might be useful for them just to stay quiet for a little while.
Yes, 1 or 2.
Yeah, but for everybody it's different, and I think different young people coming in will react differently, and you'll get the best out of someone by doing something slightly different. Depending on what they're like, I suppose.
That's like Sips. When Sips
so I'd scribbled down that.
When Sips first came into the squad, and literally, he was completely sort of chalk and cheese from me.
Yeah.
Obviously, Northern.
Did he turn up in quite a speedy car?
Yeah, he was borrowing a Ferrari
for his first day at England training.
And so
hindsight.
And then we're on the field training, and he's just going to me. I think the best combination would be me at fly half. I think who else was playing? I'll move Johnny to 12 and then you play 13. And I'm just like,
he said this.
Yeah, to me, and I'm like, No, I think it's pretty good how it is. Actually, it's just complete polar opposite. A guy like I've come in and just done what, stay pretty quiet, just get through the work and show that you're prepared to work hard. But I think, and that just didn't really sit with me. Whereas I think that's coming in more and more now, is the fact that people are quite comfortable in sharing their opinion and everything else. And now, I imagine in a leaguey background, it's probably not quite that way yet.
I love the two retired backs advocating bringing back the biff.
Yeah,
easy to say when you got pipe and slippers. Did you play with? I mean, did you play with Cipriani for England?
So he would have been He would have been very fresh then.
Yeah. So that would.
You didn't play. Did you play in that Ireland game? Were you injured for the Ireland game? His first start.
The one that he swore in the post match.
Yes, he was man of the match.
No, I'm not sure I did play with Sips.
Oh. But so what's interesting though is the reason I scribbled down his name is he's done everything he possibly can now to shed that image of having the ego, and I just wonder how difficult that has been for him and whether he is still suffering from the sins of the past.
I don't think he is. Obviously, as I said, I didn't really like him when he first came into the squad. It just wasn't something that my brain could compute with. But then
have you spent time with him subsequently?
Yeah. So over his journey, and then obviously he went to Australia, and I was just thinking, this guy never going to get back to where he should be, and it's such a waste. But then since he's been back at Sale, I've been quite a big advocate for him, and I think what he's doing for Gloucester now, I think he deserves to sort of be around that squad. But I still think he might be getting punished for things that he's done in the past, and whether he will ever get. I mean, it would be a shame if he finishes and he hasn't really achieved what he probably should achieve at international. But will he look back and he's going to wear that on his own shoulders a little bit?
Yeah, fair play to him though for getting so stuck in and committing to it. Just a quick question on cliques. For years there was always a story that there was a sort of Leicester clique in the England squad, and they all sat and you're smiling, they sat and ate together. Is that the case ever in the Ireland squads? Because obviously you're coming together from 4 pretty different provinces, aren't you? And pretty strong identities in that regard.
Not really. There'd be, in the past, I think there probably would have been a little bit of a stronger kind of Leinster feel, only because they were kind of top dogs, and then everybody kind of identifies together, Ulster, Munster, to a lesser extent Connacht.
Yes, for all Connacht.
But we would have kind of, I suppose, the Munster and the Ulster guys would have kind of hit it off a little bit.
Yeah.
Just in a complimentary way, I suppose, you could argue, because they were top dogs.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think there'd be much of that now, really.
No. Was that the case back in the day? Was the Leicester clique a thing, or was that just myth?
No, it was a bit of a thing, but not massively. But they could only. No one else understood their grunting, so it was easy for them to sit together.
Just grunt to
I
each
always
other.
remember in '99 after the World Cup, when Yanni De Beer drop kicked us out of the World Cup, and it was sort of I remember it vividly. We were all met for a drink, and then there was sort of 2 splits, and obviously like Jerry, Phil de Glanville, Catty, all the guys I was used to. We're all heading off to a nice wine bar in Paris. And then I just saw all the Leicester boys going this way. And I was like, I've seen that night out quite a few times. We're going to go see what this night out leads
You went from the champagne to the spit and sawdust.
So literally, I was a bit behind them, and I got into this bar. And I've walked in, and already we were quite well along the way, oiled already. And I've walked into this bar, and there's Garforth and Roundtree in their pants. They pushed 2 tables together, and they're sumo wrestling on the top of these 2 tables. I'm like, all right, I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
Went to the bar, and Jono walked over to me and goes, "Do you want me to straighten your nose?" I'm 21 at the time, and I'm like,
yes, please.
Good one, Jono, good one. And he goes, "No, seriously, you want me to straighten your nose?" I'm like, no, I'm all right. And then out of nowhere, he just absolutely smashes me in the face. And my eyes are watering, and my nose is killing. I'm like, am I about to have a fight with Martin Johnson in the middle of a bar in Paris? So I picked up my phone and phoned Catty. I was like, mate, where are you? I'm not coming out with the Leicester guys ever again.
Keep the champagne on ice.
Yeah.
Did you walk away? Or
I sort of laughed it and then walked away because I really didn't know what to do. I felt I should have hit him back, but then...
It sounds like the fight was over at that stage.
Yes, pretty much.
You weren't just about to have a fight, you just lost the fight.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think I'm ever going to win this, so I can walk away and just go,
do you ever remind him of that? Have you ever got your revenge?
No.
I would hate to.
Well, some would say I got my revenge in 2011 World Cup, but
We could explore that in more detail. We could just seamlessly move on.
That was not done on revenge. I promise.
He says with a raised eyebrow.
Yeah.
I've never heard that before. Was that a thing? I mean, because nights out can get lively, but was that a thing amongst the Leicester boys that you had to sort of?
And did it spit in your nose?
No, it didn't help that in any way. But then there's always stories about Lewis. You know what Moodos was like, and he'd been out of training for ages, and he comes back and he's like a crazy spaniel, just running around, just chasing the ball, and they were playing touch, and literally he's dropped the ball, and Jono's gone to get it off him for hands. He's done the old drop the ball in front of your feet sort of trick. Jono's just gone. And then he's back off the pitch. He's not on the training paddock anymore because Jono's just knocked him out.
HIA in 2 weeks out.
It's just for dropping the ball.
It'd be quite nice to have that kind of power, wouldn't it? I mean, like the aura and that. I mean, you've obviously got that in Ulster, I know, Andrew. But I mean, did you play with guys who just laid down the law? Stephen Ferris must have come quite close on it.
Stevie would have. He would have laid down.
Knew how to handle himself.
Yeah, absolutely. He wouldn't have suffered fools. He was pretty straight talking. There wouldn't have been any of that. There wouldn't be any people getting knocked out. Really, there'd be scuffles and stuff. And actually, a few years ago, Sexton got set upon by the under-20s hooker at the time.
Really,
Adam McBurney. He's playing for Ulster now. McBurney, I don't know if this has been exaggerated. McBurney pulled his jersey like over his head and then uppercut.
So just a static target, like a sack of spuds.
Yeah. I think Johnny would have got involved in those a little bit.
Yeah.
To be fair.
You surprised me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He'd get fired up.
Yeah.
But he'd be great actually. As soon as you go off the pitch, then you'd be mates again. I'd fall out with Johnny all the time on the pitch and then good mates afterwards.
Quite nicely stare.
Yeah.
What a player.
Well, I would have hated to have.
Yeah. Well, you think about it, our team, we had quite a few. Josh Lucy would just go like that. And obviously smashed Danny Cipriani in the face at training, didn't he?
Yes, he did, didn't he?
Gareth Archer, team day, in '99, playing paintballing. I've shot him, and it's like paintballs don't fly dead straight. It's gone up, shot him in the neck. He ran around chasing me, about to hit me with his gun. I was just like, mate, it's a game. It happens. He's like, you shoot me again, shove that gun at me. And I was like, okay, don't mess with Arch.
Wow.
Right. And then, Jono, all the Leicester boys were like that. Grewcock, immediately.
Because you must have had some fairly fiery days with him at the rec.
Yeah. Who else would immediately just go straight to Austin? If you call him a cheat, we'll throw a punch at you.
All right,
and then run off. Yeah, well, we once turned up at, I can't remember, we were playing in the Six Nations and they got up a day early and they were having a round of golf and they were having when we got there and we were having coffee on the veranda, they were having a fight on the 18th because Dawson called him a cheat and Austin decided to fight him about it.
I love those levels of competition. Just simply don't understand it. Amazing. But that's what took you to the top, I suppose. Let's finish off this sort of Sam Burgess thing.
I'd like to say Matt Dawson won that fight. I know
Did he?
Just to annoy Austin.
We could do the O'Driscoll Austin Lions thing. Did you ever hear the O'Driscoll?
Yeah.
Dawson O'Driscoll Healy on the 2001 Lions tour.
Yeah. Because he was messing around with Rog, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And Dricker was a schoolboy boxer.
Yeah.
And they formed a circle around them and they went to town. Apparently Austin was doing all the shadow and the slinky hips and Dricker just won and out.
Who was that weird who just described it and then Austin went to throw a jab and everyone thought Dricker must have seen it in slow-mo because he's just gone
like the Matrix
and just gone bang, bop. And then Austin got really serious and then he just kept banging him, didn't he?
I love it. Bring back the biff. Just quickly to finish off the Sam Burgess thing, what are the rest of that 2015 squad going to be thinking today? I mean, it sort of drags it all up again. Will they be thinking, Christ, is he talking about me? Are they thinking, God, I wish he'd let it lie? Or is he thinking he's got a point, got a book to sell, someone needs to say it?
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, he's not like he's bringing out a book, is it? It's just said that he says one day he'll have his say, which
it sounds like
it'll get dragged out again at some point. But I think if there were people, they would know who they are.
Interesting. But I imagine we haven't heard the end of this story.
The way the world is now. It's just, I don't necessarily.
If he wanted to go away, he's probably not doing the right thing.
Interestingly, when he talks about other great men who lost their jobs, he's obviously referring to Stuart Lancaster and Andy Farrell, who is this week been announced as the new Ireland coach, stepping up from under the, sort of Joe Schmidt, as it were. Thoughts? And how's that gone down in Ireland?
I think everybody's pretty excited about it. Everybody's in mourning.
About Joe.
But the news about Joe.
Do you understand from Joe's perspective?
It's a pretty classy decision, isn't it?
Yeah.
The big debate was, will he stay on? Will he get the All Blacks job? And he's just said, you know what? I'm done with rugby.
It sort of adds to the mystique. It's like Jono, 2003, the last thing he did in an England shirt, lift the trophy.
Yeah,
Sam Warburton and the Lions.
We've always said that Ireland, when they have something to play for, it's genius for them.
Yeah.
And Ireland have something to play for. They raise their game 20%. Now they've got to play and win the World Cup to make sure he has a proper send-off. So they've got something to play for. So even though they're in a good position as they are, they've now got an extra emotional driver.
Yeah. Very clever.
Guaranteed, money's on.
And actually, where could he take it beyond the World Cup?
Farrell?
No, I'm talking about Schmidt, as in, it sort of feels like it's a natural end, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, O'Driscoll spoke about this a couple of times, and the point he made was if he goes back to New Zealand, then of course he wins the World Cup, or the expectancy is you'll not get any praise for winning the World Cup down there because you're not hiding to nothing. Whereas here, it just makes it this big climax, this big special moment. It's already a big climax. It's Ireland's kind of best chance ever to make some sort of headlines.
Statement.
Yeah, something.
Get beyond a quarter-final.
See, I can't even say to win the World Cup.
Can you?
It seems strange, but I think we're starting to get used to it. But it's an unusual mindset.
Because I did the awards in Monaco on Sunday night. Crash, I'll pick that up in a moment or two. But it was interesting talking to Rory Best about the fact that Ireland have for so long thrived on being the underdog, and yet they turn into a World Cup year as the hunted. And I just was wondering, he sort of flat battered it and went to page 17 of the media handbook and said, oh no, every game.
Well, it is and it isn't.
It is and all that rubbish. But I just wonder, even from a rugby public point of view in Ireland, how they are handling the fact now that everyone's chasing them and they haven't got this sort of underdog tag to fire them up.
Well, I've noticed that the players have started saying about winning the World Cup, like that. I don't think that line would have been mentioned before. I think they probably would have got in trouble for saying that. Supporters and press and all, I think they're all happy to get carried away and be as naive
to believe.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
quite right.
Because it's if we're wrong, and we've completely misunderstood where we're at, and the last few results have been fluky. Who cares? Let's all have a bit of a crack.
Yeah.
A bit of crack in the build up to the World Cup and naively think we're going to win it or think we've got a chance of winning it. But
they have got, even you, Mike, have to admit, they have got a chance of winning the World Cup. Can you manage to say those words?
Yeah, I think they sort of have. Yeah. No, I think they will probably go in. They should be close to favourites with New Zealand, I would have thought.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've got to see where the Six Nations goes. You've got 3 away games. If you then go win 3 away games in the Six Nations and then win another Grand Slam, you're going in there as joint favourites with New Zealand.
Do you think New Zealand will feel quite comfortable though as to where they sit, which is suddenly everyone's talking up Ireland, they've got 1 or 2 things to work on, and suddenly the pressure is just being transferred elsewhere?
Yeah, for sure. I think they'll encourage it.
Hansen was doing that.
Yeah, they will say, "Oh, we want this competition, we want it," but they'll be secretly. It takes a lot to sort of knock their confidence in what they can do. So, but from a media point of view, it's perfect for them.
Yeah.
You're watching the House of Rugby on Joe, together with Guinness.
I do want to ask you a bit more about. How many times did you play with Farrell for England? Were you injured again?
No,
did you do a Scotland game?
2011, he would have come in then, wouldn't he?
No, as a player. Andy.
Oh, Andy. Yeah, sorry, yeah, 2007,
7, 8,
something like that. Yeah.
What was he like as a teammate? And you sort of touched on it as to the presence of the man.
Yeah,
but as a teammate,
he's always that one of those. And I've played with a few sort of leagueies. So I've played with Keith Senior recently in like Vets Rugby, and they're still the same. And Sean Long, absolute headbanger, but amazing at just sort of being energy. Like for people to feed off, and Faz was like, his knee was probably pretty buggered by the time he came over and played for England, but that sort of energy and the talk and the enthusiasm about what he brings to every bit, and how excited he'd be about a move and how he could do it and how he could tweak with it, and I think that's what sort of comes across in his coaching. I think Sarries do that very well. If you look at all the coaches that have come out of Sarries and how they talk to their teams, and even Guzzy, it's all about doing things a little bit differently and making it work for the group that you're in. And I think he's made a really good connection with the Irish players, and all the feedback you seem to get from that is that sort of connection thing that they have.
It's the enthusiasm. Yeah. It's he makes a big point about when you're defending, you got to make the person beside you feel good about defending, feel enthusiastic about getting off the line, and kind of just, even if you're not actually going anywhere or contributing anything material to the defensive line, just look like you're excited or you're buzzing, and he brings that across. I think that really comes across. I think it makes a big difference.
Does he? As you played under him very recently, is he someone who helps you get to the point where you feel you can run through brick walls and smash them down? And so you watch those Lions DVDs from 2013 and 2017. I love that we're going to take them boys to the Hurt Arena, which doesn't sound quite as good when I say it, but he definitely sort of, as a fan, he makes you believe. I just wonder if as a player, he
does. Gets you to certainly
that point.
In a defensive context, he gets you excited about getting off the line. He got me excited as a winger about getting up and making reads and getting in the passing channel and kind of getting man and ball a couple of times. He puts pressure on you as well, though, because he wants you to cover the backfield behind, so he gets the most out of his back three, and then that allows guys to kind of fill the front line and get up and make hits. But he does. He gets you excited about doing what kind of a lot of teams kind of fall for the trap that let's just defend until we get the ball back. But he kind of gets you excited about defending, enjoying that process.
The perils of going from 2 to 1. Obviously, Steve Hanson's done it with the All Blacks and taken over from Graham Henry and won a World Cup. Andy Robinson obviously went from 2 to 1 and it didn't go so well.
Slightly the other way, yeah.
What was it about Robinson going from 2 to 1 that didn't work?
Well, I think what and you look at Brian Ashton. I think what you don't understand is the RFU side of it that suddenly comes on. And right. Clive was so good at was managing that side of it, and he left the coaches to get on with the coaching side. Whereas Robbo was an out and out coach.
Yes,
and I don't think
he didn't want the politics.
He didn't want that side of it. And then I think media changed. We talked about this a while back. Media changed a lot as well, and it became very much more. People were quite comfortable asking you hard questions that you never really had to answer in rugby before.
Yeah.
And I think sort of around, what was that, 2006 or whatever it was, they suddenly started changing, and they'd ask you, do you think your job's in jeopardy, and things that you never had to deal with. And I think Robbo, his best asset was his coaching, not really his player management. I mean, that might have evolved over when he went to Scotland and whatever over the case, but when he's just gone straight from being the head coach to then having to be the manager and everything, I don't think he probably got that side a little bit wrong at the start.
Yeah. From Andy Farrell's perspective, though, I mean, we talk about the emotion that he brings, and he's a phenomenal defence coach. I just wonder what that step up will be like. I mean, is there a lot of politics that Joe deals with that Andy Farrell's now going to have to take on? And will he be comfortable sort of almost stepping back from the detail to take on a much sort of more overview of a role?
Yeah, Joe deals with that unbelievably well, doesn't he? He's to be fair, it's hard to put it wrong whenever you're winning.
Yes,
as much as he is
with Andy Robinson, exactly.
Yeah,
there he goes.
Drop that in, lads.
But even, I mean, Eddie Jones, I suppose, was the media loved him at the start, and then when things start going not quite as well, then he starts getting a hard time. But so it's hard to tell. But Joe seems to be doing it. He does the perfect job of kind of being tough on the guys, being hard, being it's unpleasant to be coached by him because he's getting the best out of you.
Yeah.
But I don't think the press would see that. They see this nice man in press conferences just always saying the right thing, and he's so good at it. He's so good at it. It's a real skill, and he nails it every time.
How tough is it playing under Joe Schmidt?
Unbelievably tough. I mean, it's very tough for the right reasons, because me personally, I became a way better player under Joe Schmidt
because
he puts you under so much pressure. Again, I keep talking about Drico. Drico this, Drico that. He recounted the story about this little really simple warm-up drill that we do before sessions. 1, 2, 3, 4 drill. Sounds more simple than it is.
Yeah.
But the intensity that's done at, and if you get something wrong, like you're getting screamed at, and the pace, one group's going into the next group, and you have to just concentrate so hard. It takes a lot out of you. We were saying, if you think a test match is tough, do the 1, 2, 3, 4 drill.
You're kidding.
It's so stressful, but it sets a tone. He always does it at the start of sessions, so everybody's just on edge and tentative and just thinking.
Is it an Auckland grid on steroids?
Huh? What's the Auckland grid?
What's an Auckland grid?
Like where you're up the corners and you've got to go up past your left. What is it? Is it where you call in moves?
Yeah,
in
it's
the middle?
like just four players, and then just ball goes into the hands of one, and he calls 1, 2, 4, 3, or 2, 1, 3, 4, 2, 1, 4, 3.
Oh,
or
I
something.
see. Okay,
so then,
yeah.
and he'll change it. You'll be just about to get the ball, and then he'll shout, you might be 1, and he'll shout 2, 1, and then you just change what you're doing, and then he's got all these like triggers that he's looking for and cues and stuff, and you'll definitely get one of them wrong early on. So you'll learn that lesson the hard way, and then the thing is you'll get to enjoy all these new guys coming
struggling,
in, cocking
brain
it off,
meltdowns,
and you're like, enjoy this drill, mate.
Hand on the back.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
We've all been there.
Exactly.
We've all been there.
You mentioned the O'Driscoll thing. Wasn't there another one where he dropped a ball in training and they were doing a review and he said
that was
great players take that or something like that.
Oh yeah,
I think that's Ireland's greatest ever.
Yes, I think that was in Leinster.
Oh, that was at Leinster.
That would have been early on, I suppose. Again, he's the great leveler, because even if you go in as a coach to a team like Leinster with Brian O'Driscoll, I would imagine in there he rules the roost in the same way Rory Best rules the roost with Ulster.
Yeah,
and I'd imagine that would be quite an intimidating presence, even for someone like Joe, but. He took him on straight away by the sounds of it, and kind of just chopped him down a little bit, and said, just a wee reminder.
Yeah.
I'm in
I don't
charge
think he
here.
even sugarcoated it like that. Apparently he didn't when the Shane Horgan does it, apparently he didn't even turn around from the monitor. He was just looking at the screen and said, yeah, great players take that. And all the Leinster players sort of hands over eyes kind of thing, wincing.
But that's brilliant for a young fella coming through. He's going, we're all the same here. We're all going to be treated the same. And, it's great to have someone like Brian in your team. And Brian would say this himself, it's great to have kind of just a leveler, and we're all in this together. Yeah. My role is just as important as your role. I think did you say Shane Horgan told the story as well? Because I think Shane Horgan got shot down early on as well.
Yeah, possibly. He took on all the senior players.
I think he said he made some point about the defence, Edinburgh's defence or Cardiff's defence or something, and it was quite a long-winded point apparently. And then Joe goes, "I'll stop you there, Shaggy. You obviously haven't watched them defend recently, because that's totally incorrect."
Wow.
Yeah.
Start again.
Yeah, start. And then
Control-Alt-Delete on
isn't that,
senior player.
Yeah, isn't that perfect? Just come in and just you're just the same as the rest of us. We're all in this together. Yeah. I think that's the brilliant thing about Joe.
But what did he do? I mean, obviously not the 1, 2, 3, 4 wasn't the sole thing that he did for you. Did he build you up as well as sort of challenge you as a player?
No, he didn't.
He's clarity in what he wanted?
He's not, a lot of clarity. He's not the coach that says, Andrew, you're really good at this. Just keep going. You're going great.
Really?
Keep the chin up, son.
Yeah.
He doesn't do that.
I need that in my life.
He just coaches you the hard way. And I got shouted at in sessions early on because I was new to it.
Yeah.
So a lot of the Leinster guys were there. I wasn't involved in the first autumn. So a lot of even the guys who weren't, had the Leinster kind of, like that exposure early on.
Yeah.
Then they still got that in the November series, and then the training camp before Six Nations 2014, I got it, and I felt like I got it full on. It was just so unpleasant. He was always at someone or you, and everybody who gives a hard time to, they get better because of it. So it's exactly what I needed. It's exactly what I wanted, even though it's unpleasant at the time. I came home after that Six Nations. We won the Six Nations that year, and I felt untouched. I came back to Ulster, and I just thought, I am way, way better player now after having that exposure for 8 weeks.
It's amazing. Winning works.
In such a short space of time, I just felt like I just came on leaps and bounds.
It's interesting you mentioned Sean Edwards, because I think you mentioned Lawrence as well. Lawrence has said in his article this week that it's ridiculous that two of England's best, brightest young coaches, Sean Edwards and Andy Farrell, are overseas. Ireland and Wales, obviously. Do you go along with that? Is that just the nature of the beast now?
Yeah, it's the nature of the beast, isn't it? Surely.
Yeah.
If you're Eddie Jones and you come into a new job, you probably want your own staff.
Yeah.
Because
apparently he didn't want the father-son dynamic of Andy and Owen. Well, it was nothing to do with ability. It was that he wanted to.
But at the same time, if you come into a job like that after the exit that we had, the scenario that it was, if you don't change everything, whenever you go, if it's not being successful, you'll look back and you haven't done it on your own terms, have you?
Yeah.
Whereas I think, it's like when I was coaching at Gloucester, then Humphreys came in. He wants his whole new staff.
Yeah.
He wants, because then you can put this is my mark. And I think, it's a shame that he's not there. And obviously, Faz is a great coach, but he'll probably work his way back. But it's just the nature of the beast of professional sport a little bit.
Is it more about the politics of it? Is it more about you're involved in that kind of bad moment in English rugby?
Yeah.
So you're kind of stained. So we're just going to get rid of you.
No,
rather than the actual output of what they're.
No,
what
I think it would have been Eddie's decision, and he would have come in. And he had meetings with all the coaches, didn't he, before? But then
I think Lancaster had gone, but Farrell, Roundtree, and Cat were all there. Yeah.
So and then he's just got to make a decision on what he does, and I think I get it from if I'm coming in. Yes, you'll have a look at them and see if you can work with them. But then, if he has a dynamic that he doesn't like, the father-son dynamic, then it's just the way it is, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Just quickly on Farrell's New Ireland post-World Cup, I read a brilliant quote the other day, which is that Ireland were the most amateur of the amateurs, and they're now the most professional of the professionals, which I'm sure one or two Kiwis might disagree with. But do you feel Andy Farrell has got everything he needs? That pipeline is just overflowing with young talent, and he's got a system that. It's going to be quite a seamless transition. He's got everything he needs.
Seamless, but very, very tough, because everything that Joe's done, he's kind of built that up, and there are zero excuses, I suppose, because
expectations.
It's the perfect. I know, and if he takes on Ireland being the world champions, then that's a tough gig, really, isn't it? He's walking into it going, how do I enhance this? How do I make this any better? You might be hoping for an early exit. Quietly thinking,
take it over and pick it up.
At least I can improve this a little bit.
We shall see. It's going to be very interesting, certainly, and good luck to him as he goes from 2 to 1. As I mentioned, I might just mention it again, some of us were in Monaco on Sunday night as World Rugby ridiculed you, Mike Tindall, by announcing Player of the Year, Team of the Year and Coach of the Year, all from the Emerald Isle. Well done, Johnny Sexton.
To everyone who won.
Sorry, say it again and louder.
Congratulations to all the Irish.
Heartfelt smile. Frances Jessie Tremoulier was the Women's Player of the Year, and well done to her as well. And Brady Retallick won Try of the Year, which was quite amusing because the Barrett family contributed 16 tries on their own to the All Blacks this year.
Were the royalty there at the event?
His Serene Highness Prince Albert II was there, yes.
And Charlie.
Is he a mate? From one royalty to another?
I did see him the other day.
He's a big rugby fan.
Yes, he is.
Big rugby fan.
Let's go.
My wife's a big fan of the Royals, and she was
the Monaco royal family, or the
not those.
Oh, sorry.
No,
he'll sign something if you want it.
But she was all excited about getting a selfie with Charlene, isn't it?
Yeah, Princess Charlene.
Yeah, so then her moment kind of arrived later on in the evening, and she was walking past, and I was chatting to some fella. I'll come back to that. And then she just grabbed him, this guy, and then took him over and said, "Would you take a selfie here?" And she was like barking orders at him, and he was nervous. He didn't want to cock it up. And then they all went away, and then I was like, "Oh no, that was Jean de Villiers. He's got 100 caps for Springboks."
He's the most lovely bloke, though.
He's probably outrageous.
Yeah. Well done. Are you going to add to that? No, we'll move on. From the royalty back to rugby royalty, but well done, Johnny Sexton. Did you see his non-acceptance speech?
Yeah.
I thought Rory spoke really well for him.
Yeah.
Although Johnny sort of typed it out. There was a little bit of ad-libbing in there.
Oh, Rory typed it?
No, Johnny typed it. Rory had to read it because Johnny had lost his voice, but there was quite a lot of... The team is very well led by me. And what was very funny about it is there were loads of texts coming through while Rory was reading it off Johnny's phone, and we quite wanted to get into some of those. You could have done rather good Michael McIntyre and sort of responded to a few of them. How well's it gone down? Johnny Sexton's Player of the Year.
Very well. I think it got to the point where, especially after 2 weeks ago, that head-to-head, him and Beauden Barrett, it was kind of, that was it really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think it was to be expected. It would have been robbery if he hadn't got it. John, don't you think?
Yes, I do. I was going to put a tiny little asterisk on. Oh, sorry. Yes, I've answered without it. Go on.
No, it's fine.
Would you have given it to Beauden Barrett?
I'd just say you get World Player of the Year for playing like 10 games. Oh. I'm joking. I'm joking.
You are not getting through customs next time you go to play golf with Keith Wood.
I'm joking.
He's racist, didn't he? That's what they all think back home.
He deserved it.
What was quite interesting is, well, two things. One is that apparently it's the first personal rugby accolade he's ever won. Although he did win the Guinness Irish Rugby Writers Award the week before.
That can't be true, surely.
Well, apparently. And that was from one of his teammates on Sunday night.
I'd be very surprised if he's never won even Leinster Player of the Year or something.
Well, that's what one of his teammates said.
Point. You got to play a few games.
Do they matter? Is that something that? What? Oh, yeah, very good. I tell you what, you wind him up and let him go. He's hard to stop. Do they matter?
Personal accolades. I don't really win very many of them, so I'm saying no.
Apparently, he was very, very, very pleased to win. He wanted it.
Of course, you should want it.
Yeah,
I mean, he wants
to
get
that far.
He wants to be the best player in the world, and he has played at that level for the last 3 years. Of course, maybe even longer. I've just said 3 years as a number.
Yeah, okay.
So he fully deserves it. Now they're winning all those games. It helps him achieve that, but he's played at that level for so long.
He's so important to the whole Irish kind of approach.
He gets a bad injury. Do Ireland win the World Cup?
I think Ireland have strengthened depth in a lot of areas. Potentially, he's one of the few areas. 3, 9 and 10, I think, are the 3 areas where it's a more significant drop off than elsewhere. And you're right, I think there's question marks. Joe Carberry's going unbelievably well for Munster, and he's getting more game time now, having moved provinces. So Joey's very mature as well. He's come on. He's played the All Blacks twice and beaten them twice, and he was reasonably heavily involved. Finished it off. So I think just because you know exactly what you're going to get. Experienced campaigner, Johnny will get the job done. I think it's very likely I will get the job done as well. But
I think they've got.
Do you think Ireland win the World Cup without him? You don't think they win the World Cup?
Stop putting words into my mouth.
I hate you're doing most of this yourself. I'm just stoking the embers.
Exaggerating.
I'm stoking the embers.
I actually have been quite impressed with Carberry, to be fair, and I think what I did think when I sort of went through the game of the USA and. Obviously, all the changes that they had, I then started having a look through the squads, and they do have more depth than they had 4 years ago. And I think what they've got quite set up is they have 2 of the Connor, Murray, and Sexton are so key, but they are finding ways to bring people in, and they're not doing it like a wholesale change. They're just doing it. They get game time, and then I would imagine that there's a lot of pressure put on them to deliver what. The guys who normally play in this position are, which New Zealand have been fantastic. Right, Carter go have a sabbatical, and we'll put someone in there, and you're expected to do the same. You're expected to do the same job, and I think that's where Ireland are now. Positives. I can say positives about Ireland.
That was across.
That was a good example of a couple when they beat the All Blacks and they didn't have Murray. So that was a perfect example. We can survive without Murray. And then you'd imagine then if Joey comes in, he could do a job. I'd say if we lose both of them together, we'd probably struggle.
I actually thought they would struggle because they lost Conor Murray, who does sort of help with Sexton. Implement their game plan.
But again, they're better off now. Marmion's got a bit of exposure. Luke McGrath, John Cooney hasn't got any joy really, but he's been going unbelievably well for Ulster.
Who's back up to Furlong? Who would be the second choice tight head?
John Ryan or Finlay Beelum maybe.
Beelum, yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
I was going to ask one more question. I tell you what I was going to say, just very quickly, is that at the World Rugby Awards, Doffer, the captain of New Zealand, who sent a load of players pretty safe in the knowledge they weren't going to win anything, and Bowden Barrett was the first man on his feet to congratulate Johnny Sexton. Oh, that was a really nice touch.
Yeah.
Good losers as well as good winners in circumstances.
Yeah. Win or lose, hit the boot.
Very good. That's a good life mantra for you, dear viewer.
Kids.
Exactly, yes. Thanks
win or lose, have a Guinness.
Oh, you are so on message. And on that bombshell, I'm going to say we're going to bring into the perfect segue, which is our Made of More Awards together with our friends at Guinness. It's time to announce, it's just time to decide our best player over the last month. Who do you think has been a standout across all the rugby that you've watched this November? Johnny Sexton, Sam Underhill, Jonathan Davis. I'm just throwing names at you. Peter O'Mahony, Owen Farrell, Sinclair, Itoje, Ellis Jenkins, another.
Well, I wouldn't have said I've studied every other game. From
the rugby you have seen.
Well, I think Tad Furlong's been outstanding.
Yeah.
I think
Tad.
How do you say it?
We don't know how to say it up north either. To be fair, but we know
Tad.
We know slightly.
I think it's
Tig. The D, forget about the D.
Apologies, this is really bad for me at the Irish.
Should we do it Furlong? We'll do take 2, and we'll actually leave one in as well. Tig.
Or
Tad.
But for England, I think Wilson has probably been
very good. Yes,
my sort of stand out for what they've done. He's had huge shoes to fill. No one really expected much of him. I think he's delivered above and beyond. I thought Carl Sinclair was very good for England as well. But yeah.
So pick one.
And then
Tad Wilson.
I'll go Furlong because I love the Irish.
Good. Well done, you. I think you're digging yourself out of a very deep hole. Tad Furlong for Tins.
It's only at 50 metres now. It was a mile a long time ago.
You're in one of Haas JCB's.
O'Mahony.
Yeah.
I thought was unbelievable against the All Blacks.
Yeah,
and
I was watching that stop where how he got there before.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Was it Ben Smith he got there
Yeah.
before?
You can have the vote because it was Ireland's November.
Okay,
You're going
I'll go Pete then.
Peter
Yeah.
O'Mahony. He was in
He won't reply to my text actually.
Well, I saw he was in Monaco. And
yeah. Did you say about getting him on the show? Because I'm trying to get him
Well,
on.
I said to him that you and I were chatting about it on the Irish version. You told the story about. Well, quickly tell it for our English viewers.
No, I'll not because I felt like it went a bit flat.
No, because he loved it.
Did he?
Yeah, he loved it. So essentially,
He's so
you were given a
unpredictable.
challenge.
He's so mysterious.
You sat exactly. That's what I was saying. You sat next to him at a dinner, and you had a good catch up with him, and then you got into a taxi. I don't know why I'm telling your story. You got into a taxi, and you were dared to give him a call and keep him on the phone for 5 minutes.
Yeah. So he basically shut me down after 20 seconds
By saying
you're only acting the bollocks.
you're only acting the bollocks and slammed the phone down.
bollocks.
Anyway, so I recounted this story to him. He laughed and said he'd watched the show as well. So
He'd watched it. But,
Yeah, he had. So hopefully he will come on Baz and Andrew's House of Rugby.
If he'd watched it, then I thought. I mean, there was blue ticks on WhatsApp. I assumed he would have replied. He would have been a fan of the show
because you're only acting the bollocks, as we know. We digress.
He's so mysterious, isn't he?
He is. I think it's fair to say he led the Irish celebrations.
Is he the kind of guy that basically you think you've told a funny, but he actually looks like he still wants to kill you, but then he'll tell someone else actually was really funny.
Yeah. He's hard to read.
Yeah.
Did you ever? I mean, I imagine that's quite like Jono back in the day.
Yeah.
Did you ever manage to raise the furrowed brow beyond a sort of the V?
It didn't get above 2 millimeters, did it?
No, it didn't. After that slightly sort of messy Maid of Morgue together with Guinness Awards, I think we're awarding it to Peter O'Mahony.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for him, there is no prize, just the warm glow of victory.
Oh, in Ireland, when we do that, we've a prize. It's also a democracy as well. We have a Twitter vote.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
No, we're a dictatorship here.
Imperialism.
Exactly. Little bit.
Well, you give it to an Irish.
Yeah.
To be fair.
You could probably crack that gag, not us. Owen Farrell's tackle. Discuss.
Immediately when doing commentary, I thought it was going to be a penalty try, but that's just because of how I feel that modern rugby is. I would quite happily like that to stay and no penalty, and because to stop a second row from 1.5 meters out
To bounce the second row back
is just an incredible hit. And the Rico, it's definitely not high, which I think they were going for, but it's the wrap.
It's the no arms.
It's the wrap. But there are lots of funny photos of. I'm on a group with a lot of South Africans, and they have been doing things to Farrell's body, and all his arms are suddenly like T-Rexes now.
As in he hasn't got any.
He hasn't got any. But yeah, I think ultimately going forward, he's going to have to change because I think what Checker's point was that they had a meeting, didn't they? And everyone said that. In that whole meeting, they said that the one against South Africa was a penalty.
I think even Angus Gardner, who was the referee, has quietly and in the most diplomatic tone possible said, if I had my time again, I would give a penalty.
Yeah, but everybody says these are penalties, but they're not getting penalised.
So is that something about... what does that say about Farrell? Does it say anything about him at all? Well,
he got away with it first time, so he did it again. I'm with him, though. It's an unbelievable hit, and I think he needs a lot of credit for it. And it's just... he just needs to get the arm up, but it's unbelievably good.
The thing is, normally you lead like that, don't you? And he does lead with it down by his side and then swings it as an afterthought to wrap. And, he is going to probably have to change it, but I don't want... His timing of when he hits people is what means this huge collision and rocks them backwards, and why he bounces off as well. So, I mean, the angle that he came in from, it was all a bit weird, but... Yeah, I would love that to stay in the game. If you go back and watch when Wilco used to hit people, he necessarily didn't do it.
Yeah.
Well, it wouldn't be legal now. It was fine.
Well, how did he generate so much power, Wilkinson, back in the day?
Because his timing. It's when people are on the... When people... If you watch Faz's tackle, what was a guy called who was running? Rodder.
Isaac Rodder, yeah.
His lead foot's off the floor, and all his weight is trying to push off through his back foot. So even though he's travelling, his weight's not going forward. And he just hits him at the right time. And Wilco used to hit it when guys' feet were both off the floor, so you can't do anything about it. He used to be able to time it that well. You know, when Berger Masco ran straight at him and wrote him off. Keith Wood did it as well, and it's just that timing, and I think it's the fact that he goes to get them rather than waiting for the tackle to come to him. He goes and gets.
You did it to Gregan as well, didn't you? Was it Gregan?
You carried him around.
Yeah, that would be a red card. No?
It would actually.
Feet definitely above the horizontal on that one.
What was your biggest? You used to throw yourself around like a lunatic. Did you have one guy in particular that you always felt, I've got the measure of this bloke?
What, in terms of opponent number?
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy Andrew.
What's going on?
Go on, there must be someone. There must be someone you came up against where you thought, I've got this guy's number.
As in what sense? I could always fill him in or what?
No, as in, I know that I'm a better player, and mentally I've got him where I want him, and he can't handle me.
I always used to play against. I used to like playing against Bastereau because everyone was like, he's this beast, and I'm like, well, no, he can't run without his legs, can he? So,
true. Chop him down.
Yeah.
Did you ever have anyone whose number you had?
Not really.
There's always someone who's got threatened.
Yeah, I know, and it's never always with wingers. They always like commentators or journalists talk about your opposite number, but you rarely actually get the chance for a one-on-one with number 11.
My worry was always the winger. Yeah, mine was normally always the wingers because they'd be the ones I end up tackling the most.
Yeah.
If you're playing a little drift, it's different now. Everyone just goes straight up. But
Yeah. I'm not entirely sure.
Who was the player that caused you the most?
Caused me the most trouble.
Thoughts and panics. Or you thought, I'm playing this guy, I've got to worry about this.
Honestly, no one really.
Did you do a lot? Did you do a lot of research into your opposite number or not?
I don't know. I think I'm just going blank.
Did you always know who you were playing against?
Yeah. Yeah, usually not when I was young.
Did you know?
Because the All Blacks. There's that very funny one of Dan Carter where they said who you worried about playing against this week. He couldn't name a single player in the Scotland team. And Brody Retallick called him Stephen Laws instead of Courtney. Shall we move on to the perfect pour? So we haven't got Hask here this week. This week's Guinness perfect pour in 119.5 seconds, because that's how long it takes to pour the perfect pint of Guinness. We are asking Mike Tindall the questions. And your specialist subject is
where you need the goon of Haskell.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Your specialist subject is Ireland.
Oh, awesome.
10 questions. Can you get at least 8 right? We've got a bonus question for you at the end. We'll start the clock. 3, 2, 1, go. What is the most popular sport in Ireland?
Hurling?
No.
GAA?
Gaelic football, correct.
Gaelic
you can
football.
have that. Which stone is kissed to receive the gift of smooth talking?
I should know this. The begins with B.
Yeah, you were there.
Blarney.
I know. Can you name the top 5 Irish try scorers of all time?
Of all time?
Yeah.
Zebo?
No.
It's a good start, isn't it? Well, Dricko?
Yep. One of your teammates?
Yeah, Tommy Bowe,
correct.
Of course.
Another winger?
Dennis Hickey.
Correct.
Hickey, that's what I couldn't think of. Is Earls in there or not?
Who? Yeah, correct. And one more, we've mentioned him already.
Shane Horgan.
Correct.
Shaggy.
Very good. Who holds the record for the most points in a game for Ireland?
Sexton?
No.
Humphreys?
No.
It's got to be a fly-half, is it?
Yeah. The third. Obvious.
Oh, Rog.
Yes. 32 against Samoa in 2003. Which 3 counties of the Republic begin with the letter K? You must have played golf in all of them.
No idea. Kalau?
No.
Where's that?
Good horse racing in some of them as well. Do you want to go on?
Killarney.
Yep.
Kildare.
No, not Killarney. Kildare you can have.
Kildare. Oh, yeah.
Kilkenny and Kerry. That's embarrassing. That is embarrassing.
I feel a bit better now. If I'd have got them and you hadn't.
That would have been very, very poor. The name of the Irish explorer who led 3 expeditions to the Antarctic. Ernest.
Scott.
Shackleton.
Tad
Shackleton.
Tad
Shackleton.
I do like it when you laugh from in there.
There's a lot of laughing backstage, I can tell you. Which famous Irish celebrity was born Graham William Walker? You've probably been on his show. The show. The Graham...
Yeah, Norton show.
Correct.
Why would you think I've been on that show?
Have you, Frank Hewitt, back in 1924, the youngest player ever to play for Ireland. How old was he? Go young.
Yeah,
17, 157. John Hayes, the oldest. Do you know how old he was in his last cap?
39.
Nearly. 37, 277 days. Name the 4 members of U2.
Bono.
Good.
That's it. For me. Edge. Yeah. That's it.
Does
anyone know the other two?
And the drummer and the bassist.
Yeah, exactly. Adam Clayton and Larry Mullen.
Sorry, Larry.
There's about 14 minutes of perfect Paul going on there. Your bonus question, I'm fascinated to see if you can do this, because we put Haskell on the spot and he couldn't. You made your debut in 2000 against?
Ireland.
Correct. Can you name the other 14 members of the England team that day?
Matt Perry.
Correct.
Austin Healy.
Very good.
Mike Catt.
Yep.
Johnny Wilkinson.
Yep, you've missed a winger.
Ben Cohen.
Yep.
Got his cap the same day, scored 2.
Yes, he did. You scored as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I scored. Yeah. Corner.
You'll run in the corner.
Where have we got to? 9, Dorse.
Yep.
8, Lol.
Yep.
Backy.
Yep.
Hilda.
Yeah.
It's a good thing. Nothing really changed back then.
No.
Ben Kay.
No.
So he came on, though.
Yes, he didn't start.
All right.
You've mentioned him already. One of them.
Well, Jono.
No.
Did Jono not play in that game?
He was injured.
So Archer played in one, I remember. And then who would have been? Oh, Grucock.
No. Massive man.
Oh, Shorzy.
Yeah. Front row.
Front row. Leonard.
Yeah.
Did Greening start or did Tomo start?
Phil Greening, very good.
And Vickery.
Correct. Very good.
Is this still the perfect pour, or are we still...
I think we're sort of telling you the perfect hour.
The Guinness is like poured all over the floor and the bar's
exactly.
flooded.
Paddling around in it.
Yeah.
What song did you sing on your debut on the bus?
Leaving on a jet plane.
How does that go?
Because I'm leaving on a jet plane.
Very good.
All my bags are packed to start off with.
Very good. What a day that was. Where does that rank in your proud moments for England? Debut, try?
I think, I think just to stand there and hear, I did a very footballer thing and didn't really close my eyes and listen to the anthem rather than sung it on the first one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've wanted to play there ever since I went and watched the school's final when I was 15.
Yeah.
And we'd not got there as a school, and I always wanted to play there, and wasn't sure I'd ever get there, but you did get there in the end. I was very lucky to play in that team as well. As the first cap, it's not a bad team to get in.
That's pretty good. Your love affair with Ireland started way back then.
Yeah.
And it continues raging today.
What was it, 47?
All right. You've done so much to repair the damage. And on the final question, you blow it again.
No, I thought you were giving me just a little bit of
I wasn't. I was trying to keep the peace between the two. Has he done any damage reparation? Can we sort of put out a press release that
I think he's done. I think he's done well. I think he's bounced back a little bit.
I was just trying to give a balanced view in the fact that Ireland are a great team, but you, as Joe Schmidt said,
still shoveling.
As Joe said, you're always trying to get better.
Very good.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but they can say that from within, not from outside.
Yeah.
You can't say that if you're English.
Ireland's week. It's going to be a good Christmas in Ireland.
What?
For the rugby? What? It's going to be a good Christmas in Ireland, given the way that the rugby's gone. The rugby
flying.
community.
Yeah.
Ho, ho, ho.
I think everybody's loving it. There's a buzz around the place, and everybody's excited about England on the first round 1 of Six
Which
Nations.
will be mega. We'll look forward to it. You'll come back for a little bit of that
Absolutely.
It's really ruined that Cheltenham week. Normally they stick it on that Cheltenham week. So you do the whole Cheltenham week and then get on the plane and go play in the Legends
do
game on
dialysis and then go to the game.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for coming over.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
More than capable replacement for Haskell. We'll put him back up at the end. For the listeners on the podcast, Haskell's photo has been resurrected, and hopefully he will be resurrected next week and back to join us. I'm sure he'll have a lot to say. He'll have such FOMO having missed out.
But you won't be able to understand it. It'll just be shouting at you.
Exactly. There's still a lot of anaesthetic coursing through his body.
He's fast paced, isn't he?
Yeah. This has been really leisurely, actually. I've sort of feel quite sort of dozy off the back of it. It's been really nice.
You definitely can't do that with Hask.
No, I know. We miss you, Hask. Get well soon. Come back next week. You're back next week as well.
Yeah.
Depending on the Irish reaction to how you've gone down.
Well, hopefully they will see that I'm not a bad man.
Or a last-minute holiday. Thank you both very much indeed for your thoughts. Lots of fun, as always. That is it for this week. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Do remember, we're a YouTube show and we're a podcast as well. Subscribe wherever it is that you normally do your subscriptions. Please do leave a comment. As he throws his pen around. Please do leave a comment. The generous ones, the good feedback ones are always very welcome. The others, well, slightly less so. You can also download some of Joe's other programming that you might have missed, notably Unfiltered with the great James O'Brien. And Boys Don't Cry with Russell Kane as well. Both really good listens. So if you're looking for something to join you on your commute or if you're listening at the back of class, have a crack at both of those. You can find them both on iTunes and YouTube as well. Thank you once again to Andrew. Safe journey home. Thank you once again to Mike. See you next week. Don't forget our sister show from Joe.ie, Baz and Andrew's House of Rugby. Always a good listen. We're back next week with Hask. Hopefully, have a good week in the meantime.
You've been watching the House of Rugby on Joe, together with Guinness. Drink responsibly. Visit drinkaware.co.uk for the facts.